Hey friends, it's Leah with your Winning Wednesday, WINSDAY, coming to you on a beautiful Wednesday afternoon. I hope it's beautiful where you are and you're having a wonderfully winning day and a fabulously winning week. Today, we are going to continue with Wisdom at the Well, and we're going to be looking at a particular word today, and it's Tevunah. And so you might want to get ready for that. We're going to go back into the book of Proverbs today and talk about wisdom. So let's just do a quick recap of what we talked about last week. When I say quick, I mean really quick. Talking about the definition of wisdom. And wisdom is when we possess experience, knowledge, and insight, and we master that. We master such knowledge through discipline and prudence, enabling us to make good judgment and perceptive and discerning application. So it's the ability to judge with intelligence and soundness and prudence. That's what this is talking about. That's what wisdom is. So when you take that and you give it that biblical application, like what we'd like to do, biblically speaking, wisdom is having godly knowledge. So you take that godly knowledge, insight, and the godly morality, and you apply that particular godly understanding to your life, and in doing so enables us to overcome situations and issues of life. And so that's what using wisdom does. And so wisdom requires discipline and knowledge and prudence. It requires understanding that there are consequences to our actions and our behaviors, and that God gives us warnings to those consequences. So he's saying, use your mind, use your brain, think about what you've got, and use this to your advantage, because you need to understand there are consequences to your behavior, whether it is a positive consequence or a positive reward or benefit, or a negative consequence. There is going to be a result of your behavior. And so you need to use wisdom in all of your action. So that's what this is talking about. So understanding then means that we have internalized this knowledge that we've gained over our lifetimes, and we're internalizing it, and then that internalizing of that knowledge then directs our action. So we act on what we know. And so that is using wisdom. So wisdom then is displayed in the Bible through a lot of the different characters that we read about, the accounts that are in the Bible. And it's also displayed through Jesus himself. When Jesus comes into the earth and he begins to teach, and he begins to give parables and tell give these accounts of things, so that he is displaying his wisdom, and so that we can gain a heart of wisdom. And I just saw that squirrel come running across there. He's pretty wise because the dog's not out here. But so wisdom is displayed through a lot of the accounts that we read about in the Bible. And it's displayed through Jesus. Wisdom is conveyed to us through Proverbs, which we talked about last week, parables that contain truth. And a parable then, of course, is a statement that alludes to this truth. And so we're given wisdom through Proverbs and parables, and also through riddles. So things that are a little bit harder to figure out, but we can actually eventually figure it out. So how we receive this instruction is what makes the difference between being wise and being foolish. So will we receive it with righteousness and justice and integrity, or will we ignore what is conveyed and be uncommitted to the truth of it, which leads to unsound and foolish living? So that's our option. We can either be wise in what we do, or we can be unwise and be foolish in what we do. So it's up to us to choose how we're going to live our lives. So let's look at Proverbs chapter 1, and we're going to start with verse 8 this week, because we looked at the first 7 verses last week. So let's look at verse 8 this week and read from there, and we'll talk about that section afterward. It says, "Listen, my son, to your father's instruction, and don't reject your mother's teaching, for they will be a garland of grace on your head and a gold chain around your neck. My son, if sinners entice you, don't be persuaded. If they say, 'Come with us, let's set an ambush and kill someone, let's attack some innocent person just for fun, Let's swallow them alive like Sheol, still healthy as they go down to the pit. We'll find all kinds of valuable property and fill our houses with plunder. Throw in your lot with us, and we'll share all our money." And he says, "My son, don't travel that road with them or set foot on their path, because their feet run toward trouble and they hurry to commit murder. It is foolish to spread a net where any bird can see it, but they set an ambush to kill themselves. They attack their own lives. Such are the paths of all who make profit dishonestly. It takes the lives of those who receive it." So let's read on here. I just want to go ahead and finish out this chapter, because we'll just talk about it here in a minute. It says, well, no, let me just stop there for a second. Sorry. I'm going to decide what I'm going to do here in a second. What I'm going to do is talk about that section that we just read, because he's talking about teaching. He says teaching, and what it is passing along moral guidelines. That's what teaching is. And he says, listen to me, son, and listen to your mother. So pay attention to your parents who have lived some life and know what's going on. So he says, we're passing along these guidelines to you, and you need to listen to it. So it's adhering to wise counsel that will bring good to us. And that's when he's talking about this garland of grace and this gold chain around your neck. So these things are symbolic of honor and guidance and protection. So he says it's going to be like a garland on your head, so like a laurel wreath, and it's going to be like a gold chain around your neck. It's going to bring you honor. It's going to bring good things, guidance, and protection to you, because it's going to take care of you if you will act with wisdom. So then he says, don't let these evil people entice you. So this word entice is he's warning this person. He's giving that warning to not be gullible. He says, don't be gullible. Don't follow the crowd. Well, that's a word for us today, isn't it? Because we all want to be well liked. We all want to be popular. We all want to, or not necessarily popular, but you know what I'm saying? You want to be liked. You want to have influence with people. And we like that. And in our day and age of social media, people it's like they're looking for that all the time. And so he's saying, don't be gullible and follow the crowd, because they're wanting to do this with no good reason. There's no purpose in what they're going to do. He says, don't follow the crowd, especially those who are doing something for no reason, for no cause. They're doing something immoral, and there's no purpose in it other than they just want to get some plunder from someone. They want to hurt somebody for the purpose of gathering plunder for themselves. And so he's saying, don't do this thing. So in verse 15, it's that admonition. He says, don't travel that road. Don't even step on the path. So why does he say that? Because they're running toward trouble. They're running toward trouble, and it will bring harm to themselves, because they're setting the trap for themselves, because they're going to catch themselves in this trap that they're setting. They're going to try to bring harm to someone else, and this trap that they're setting is actually going to bring harm to themselves, because it's going to bring destruction. So let's read on about wisdom's plea. It says, wisdom calls out in the street. She raises her voice in the public square. She cries out above the commotion. She speaks at the entrance of the city gates. How long, foolish ones, will you love ignorance? How long will you mockers enjoy mocking, and you fools hate knowledge? If you respond to my warning, then I will pour out my spirit on you and teach you my words. Since I called out and you refused, extended my hand and no one paid attention, since you neglected all my counsel and did not accept my correction, I in turn will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when terror strikes you. When terror strikes you like a storm and your calamity comes like a whirlwind. When trouble and stress overcome you, then they will call me, but I won't answer. They will search for me, but won't find me. So this is wisdom saying, you should have listened to me in the first place, because you set the trap for yourself, and now you're paying the consequences of your own sin and your own folly. So in verse 29, it says, because they hated knowledge, didn't choose to fear the Lord, were not interested in my counsel, and rejected all my correction, they will eat the fruit of their way and be gutted with their own schemes. Boy, that's a horrible picture, isn't it? To be gutted with their own schemes. In other words, they're bringing their own destruction. So verse 32 says, for the turning away of the inexperienced will kill them, and the complacency of fools will destroy them. And then it says in verse 33, but whoever listens to me will live securely and be free from the fear of danger. So let's look at that little section, because wisdom is instructing that the lifestyle a person chooses leads to a certain destiny. So if you choose a foolish lifestyle, if you choose an ungodly lifestyle, then you're going to pay the consequences of that lifestyle. But if you choose to live in wisdom, and you choose to be godly in the way you live, then you're going to enjoy the rewards of that. So wisdom is instructing that the lifestyle a person chooses leads to a certain destiny. So if a lifestyle appears that it could lead to destruction, we should not even touch our foot to that path. He says, don't even touch it for a moment, not even for a split second. Don't even look at it. Don't set your foot on it, because it's going to take you down a road that you don't want to go down. I remember when our kids were growing up, one of the things that Mike talked to them about was getting involved in addictive substances. And he said, don't even start with alcohol, because it will never take you where you really want to go. So don't even go there, because it's not going to take you where you think it's going to take you. And it's just going to bring destruction to you. And that is what Solomon is saying here. So when evil is the concept, the intention is harm. The consequence is trouble or misery, and the ultimate result is destruction. That's what he's saying to us. When evil is the concept, so in other words, being foolish, living in folly, that's the concept. That's evil, because it's not godly. So if it's not for God, then it's against him. So when evil is the concept, the intention is harm. It's when you're living an ungodly life, then harm is going to come. That evil life is going to bring you harm, and the consequence is going to be trouble and misery, and eventually it's going to be ultimately destruction to you. And you can look at so many things that you can just watch that lifestyle that leads someone from this place to this place to this place, because one sin leads to another, to another, to another, and it eventually brings destruction. And that is what this wisdom is teaching us in this particular passage. So in verses 20 through 33, wisdom is speaking to the person. So it's like wisdom has a voice, and it's saying, listen to me, pay attention to what I'm saying. In verse 33, it says, whoever listens to me will live securely and will be free from the fear of danger. So you don't have to live in fear of something destructive coming upon you that you have created out of your own folly, if you'll pay attention to wisdom and live in wisdom. So that's what this is telling us. So I want to read the next chapter, Proverbs chapter 2, because the word today is Tevunah, and it means understanding. It's that Hebrew word for understanding. So let's look at chapter 2, and let's just talk about that for a minute. It's talking about the worth of wisdom here. So it says, my son, if you accept my words and store up my commands within you, listening closely to wisdom and directing your heart to understanding, furthermore, if you call out to insight and lift your voice to understanding, if you seek it like silver and search for it like hidden treasure. I love that. If you search for wisdom like a hidden treasure. So in other words, you pursue it. It's like, I want to grow in wisdom. I want to grow in understanding. I'm going to pursue this. I don't ever want to live in folly. I want to pursue wisdom. That's what this is talking about. Search for it like a hidden treasure. Verse 5 says, then you will understand the fear of the Lord and discover the knowledge of God. For the Lord gives wisdom, and his mouth and from his mouth come knowledge and understanding. He stores up success for the upright. He is a shield for those who live with integrity, so that he may guard the paths of justice and protect the way of his loyal followers. Are you getting the message here? When you follow him and pursue him and you're his loyal follower, God will make you successful in what you do. So he goes on, he says, then you will understand righteousness, justice, and integrity, every good path. For wisdom will enter your mind, and knowledge will delight your heart. Discretion will watch over you, and understanding will guard you, rescuing you from the way of evil. So when you seek wisdom, you're going to be rescued from evil, from the one who says perverse things, from those who abandon the right paths to walk in ways of darkness, from those who enjoy doing evil and celebrate perversion, whose paths are crooked and whose ways are devious. So it goes back to that same thing of those who are seeking to live a lifestyle that is against God, whatever that looks like, is they're going to find darkness, and they're going to find deviance, and they're going to find destruction. So it says, verse 16, it will rescue you from a forbidden woman, from a stranger with her flattering talk, who abandons the companion of her youth and forgets the covenant of her God. So in other words, it's going to save you from an affair. It's going to save you from going with the wrong person. I mean, it's very overt, and it's very covert. So it's talking about things that are overtly evil. When you look at it and you go, I already know, because it's in the 10 commandments, that it's wrong to lie. I know it's wrong to steal. I know it's wrong to envy and be jealous and envious. I know it's wrong to live with someone that I'm not married to. I know it's wrong to have an affair as a married person or with a married person, whether both of you are married or one of you is married and the other one's unmarried. It doesn't matter. We already know this is wrong. So evil companions are going to try to lead you in the wrong way. Things are going to come to entice you to do the wrong thing. And he's saying, don't do the wrong thing. Wisdom is speaking here and saying, listen to me, pay attention to what I'm saying to you. And let's start with verse 16. It will rescue you from a forbidden woman, with a stranger with her flattering talk, who abandons the companion of her youth and forgets the covenant of her God. For her house sinks down to death, and her ways to the land of the departed spirits. I think that's telling us this is going to lead you to destruction, to hell. It's what it says. It's going to lead you to hell. None return who go to her. None reach the paths of life. So this is going to take you toward death and destruction. There's no life here. So follow the way of good people and keep to the paths of the righteous. For the upright will inhabit the land, and those of integrity will remain in it. But the wicked will be cut off from the land, and the treacherous uprooted from it. So it says there are consequences to your choices. There are rewards and there are consequences. Rewards for what you do right, consequences for what you do evil or foolishly. So when we look at this word Tevunah, it's that Hebrew word for understanding. And what it's talking about competence in a particular skill that leads to successful living. So it's likened to the skillful abilities and know-how of a craftsman. That's what it's talking about here. So a person who is a good craftsman, just say a woodworker, is someone who knows how to operate a lathe. They know how to carve something and make it beautiful. So it's talking about this kind of skill and ability. So it's this competence in this skill. That's what understanding is. And so it's also likened to the business savvy of a high-ranking official or even a king. It's having that savvy and understanding of people and how to conduct business and how to make it work. So it's talking about that. It's being skillful at speech or speaking to others. So it's someone who has a lot of skill with the way of their words with other people. Someone who is a good counselor. Someone who is just good at talking with people and getting people to come together, leading people to draw everybody in and get us all going in the same direction. It's someone who's good at that. It's someone who is discerning spiritual reality or discerning of spiritual realities or issues. So it's spiritual realities about people and understanding of God's plans and purposes. So that's what this Hebrew word Tevunah, that's what this is talking about. It's being skillful at understanding God's plans and purposes, being skillful at working with people and helping them understand God's plans and purposes. So someone with Tevunah type of understanding is known to be happy. In chapter 3, verse 13, it says, happy is the man who finds wisdom and acquires understanding. So it's going to lead you to living a happy life when you live in this kind of understanding, when you pursue like a hidden treasure, wisdom and understanding, and living a godly, moral life. Someone with the Tevunah type of understanding is also quiet. That means they're quiet when silence is more prudent than speaking. So they know when to give a word and when to hold it back. They know when to speak and when to be quiet. And so that's a very important thing. And in the world that we live in today, there aren't a lot of quiet people because everybody is yelling to be heard. It's a very noisy world that we live in right now, and everybody wants to be heard, but there is a gift in quietness. We don't always need to speak just because we think something or have an opinion about something. Sometimes it's better to just be silent. Silence is golden at times. So a person with Tevunah type of understanding is also patient. They are not quick-tempered. They restrain their words and they keep a cool head. It's, there's a proverb that says that someone who is angry, there's a lot of sin in a lot of words. So we need to be very careful about the words that we speak and when we speak them. I had to apologize to Mike today because I was just frustrated about something, and I just kind of, and I was like, no, that was wrong. I need to go back and I need to apologize for that because that was wrong. I was completely wrong. It was like the Holy Spirit immediately checked me on that. And I was like, that was so wrong for me to do that. So I had to immediately say, I am so sorry. I'm sorry I did that. I shouldn't have said that. And so we need to hold our words. We need to be patient. We need to be quiet when it's more prudent than to speak. So I needed that lesson for myself today. A person with Tevunah type of understanding is also humble. Chapter 18, verse 2 says, a fool wants to show off his opinions. As a matter of fact, let me just read that one. Proverbs 18, is that right? Yes, 18:2. It says, a fool does not delight in understanding, but only wants to show off his opinions. How many of us can see that when we read social media? Because it's all about somebody's opinion. It's always about somebody's opinion. Well, I think, and I think, and I think, and I think, and it's just because they just want everybody to hear what they think. And my dad used to say, it's an old saying, but he used to say, opinions are like noses. Everybody has one. So, but everybody always thinks theirs is more important than everyone else's. So we need to be real careful about our opinions. So someone who is has that Tevunah type of understanding is humble, and they don't always want to show off their opinion. Okay, so the last word that I want to look at that is a descriptive of this particular word of Tevunah is successful. A person who is wise in understanding is successful. So let's read chapter 19, verse 8, and it says, I think I was already there and I just flipped the page. Okay, chapter 19, verse 8 says, the one who acquires good sense loves himself. So if you want to be a good person who loves the person that God created you to be, use your sense. Have that Tevunah type of understanding. The one who acquires good sense loves himself. One who safeguards understanding finds success. So it's saying when we apply ourselves to obtaining godly wisdom and living moral lives according to this word, God's word, then we are going to find success in whatever we do. That does not mean, and a lot of people apply this to financial success, but it's not. It's talking about living a blessed, abundant life of joy and peace, being successful in life, in living. So this is what this is talking about. So I want to have, me personally, I want to have this Tevunah type of understanding so that I can live a life that is godly, that pursues his plans and purposes, is quiet when I need to be quiet, and only speaks when I need to speak, that I'm living a happy life, a quiet life. I'm being humble in whatever abilities and gifts God has given to me, and I am going to find success as I live that way. So I hope that this has been a good lesson for you today. Hey, Bug, it's good to see you. I want that kind of understanding in my life. I want the Lord to help me live a life of good understanding. So I hope this has been a good word for you today, to understand that God wants us to pursue his kind of wisdom, that Tevunah type of understanding where we are skillful in living for him. So I hope this is a good word for you. It's a good word for me, that you are enjoying this wisdom at the well for Wellington, and that you will join me every Wednesday as we talk about this each week. So I'm going to leave that there. I hope you can join us every week for this, and for our services on Sundays. We meet at 10 o'clock on Sunday mornings for Sunday school and discipleship. We have classes for all ages, nursery to the oldest adult, and then we have our worship service at 11 o'clock. And of course, we're on Central Time because we are in Texas. We meet at 1000 Amarillo Street in Wellington, Texas, and I hope that you will join us if you are in the Wellington area. If you're not in Wellington, you can join us on the live stream, which is right here on this Facebook page, and I hope that you will make plans to join us then. Have a great week, and I will see you on Sunday.